Welcome back to Offsides, BUTV's only professional sports talk show. I'm Justin Curran.
And I'm Courtney Knight. To kick off our episode, Amanda Ciminello and Layla Penn will break down some controversial cuts on pro sports practice squads and discuss their effect on player expectations.
Then, Dinh-Price and James McIntyre will give us their opinions and early takeaways on quarterback play in the first few weeks of this year's NFL season.
And finally, Ryan Owens will discuss the unprecedented year in the MLB and its impact on the upcoming postseason.
All this and more, Offside starts right now.
Thanks, Justin. The 2024 NFL season is well underway with fresh feet looking for success. I'm Layla here with Amanda to discuss what teams did to trade, release, waive, and cut players to fit the regular season roster size of 53.
This process can be difficult for players as it evokes different emotions, but these changes are vital to a successful season for the teams. Coaches are willing to make hard decisions, especially talented players who could be suffering physically or mentally. The process helps cut roster sizes down to spot out who can handle the pressure.
Notable players to mention include the Chiefs releasing Kadarius Toney, a New York Giants first-round draft pick in 2021, and the New England Patriots releasing quarterback Bailey Zappi. Toney helped the Chiefs secure a Super Bowl title in 2022 and set the record for the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. But after being released, he got off to a rough start with the Browns, getting sidelined with an injury during his first week. On Zappi's side, while he struggled to break through last season, he joined the Chiefs practice squad just 3 days after being cut by the Patriots.
Talent shines at different moments, but sometimes it doesn't come when a player needs it most. Quarterback Desmond Ridder, the two-time AAC Offensive Player of the Year, was selected by the Atlanta Falcons in the third round of the 2022 NFL Draft. During this past offseason, the Arizona Cardinals traded with the Falcons to acquire Desmond Ridder in exchange for receiver Rondell Moore. Ridder, without a doubt, had some strong moments, but these couldn't make up for his mistakes.
Absolutely, Amanda. The Cardinals needed someone to serve as backup for Kyler Murray, and all they had was Clayton Tune, who had one of the worst performances in NFL history during his start. Though Tune continued to struggle during preseason, they kept him, and Ridder was waived. However, the Cardinals re-signed him to their practice squad on August 28th.
Boise State alum Brett Rypien, though a veteran with 6 years of experience, had trouble making it through practice squads. As competition heightened with the rookie quarterback Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent, the Chicago Bears decided to release Rypien, and all hope was not lost. On August 29th, the Minnesota Vikings signed the backup quarterback after waiving Jaren Hall.
Ultimately, Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell had faith and saw Rypien as the better short-term option, especially considering the shift of plans after J.J. McCarthy experienced a season-ending torn meniscus injury. Despite the bittersweet move, as Rypien describes it, he seemed to have a surprisingly calm and positive attitude, as he was shown reflecting on the process. Maybe it was the quick contract turnaround or the comfort in being coached by someone who has a similar offensive system to his former coach, Sean McVay.
Not only is Rypien a veteran, but he had pressure on his shoulders to succeed, being the nephew of Super Bowl 26 MVP quarterback Mark Rypien. From being a veteran to living up to legacy, let's talk about Buffalo Bills running back Frank Gore Jr. The Florida native who went undrafted out of the University of Southern Mississippi has a unique story with lots of legacy to live up to.
Definitely, Amanda. Frank Gore, his father, was a former Bills player who retired as the number 3 rusher in NFL history. Though undrafted, Gore Jr. promised himself that he would prove people wrong, and so he did. He had his first 100-yard game in his NFL career, rushing for 101 yards during his preseason game versus the Carolina Panthers. This performance helped him secure a spot on the Bills practice squad on August 28th after being cut from the roster.
Injuries have also taken their toll early in the season, meaning the backups get their field time to shine. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has had a rough track record with injuries, especially head injuries. Skylar Thompson is stepping up to the plate, according to head coach Mike McDaniel. Thompson has struggled in his last few years, but with injuries and trades happening this early in the season, nothing is set in stone for any of these teams.
I wonder who the next backup will be to exceed fans' expectations. In 2016, Tom Brady was suspended for Deflategate, and Jimmy Garoppolo was injured, leaving third-string quarterback rookie Jacoby Brissett to lead the Patriots, or someone like Tony Romo, an undrafted free agent who signed with the Dallas Cowboys in 2003 for a backup quarterback role, and did not serve as starting quarterback until 3 years later, but set many records for the Cowboys. With instances like this, anything can happen. Who will be the next to do it?
Speaking of quarterbacks, let's throw it over to Henry and James with their early takeaways on NFL quarterbacks.
Thanks, Layla and Amanda. We have seen an unpredictable start to the NFL season with many upsets. That unpredictability has also been found in the quarterback position as passing touchdowns are down and cover 2 defenses are on the rise. We have, however, seen some previously written off quarterbacks revitalize their careers. I'm Henry, here with James to break it all down. Who has stood out most to you, James?
One quarterback turning on a switch that really shocked me has been Justin Fields. Leaving Chicago only this offseason, it seemed the whole of the NFL had given up on him. The Bears couldn't find great compensation while trading him. Russell Wilson was named the starter over him, and even EA seemingly poked fun of him as he returned to kick in a Madden trailer. While his passing play hasn't blown anyone away, he has put the Steelers in a position to start 3-1 on the season. The consistency in winning so far has been my biggest shock, something he was never able to do as a Chicago Bear.
The number 1 quarterback to highlight this offseason is Sam Darnold. The number 3 pick in the 2018 draft is finally showing the flashes he was selected for 6 years ago. His first pass in the NFL was an interception return for a touchdown, marking a sign of things to come during his 3-year stint with the Jets. But after sitting for the last 2, Darnold has finally found comfort in Minnesota, and he will be granted a hefty payday this offseason. The Vikings are off to a 4-0 start, and Darnold is at the forefront, tossing 11 touchdowns and holding the 3rd highest quarterback rating in the NFL. Through 4 weeks, they have been the best team in the NFC. And with J.J. McCarthy out for the season, Darnold can play with no stress as Minnesota seeks a division title and a playoff run.
Saints fans are already getting sick of Derek Carr, and it's not even week 1 yet. Is Derek Carr done in New Orleans? Spencer Rattler will replace Carr soon enough. These are all headlines that I found in August before the season started. The Saints proceeded then to put up a 90 combined points in their first 2 games, and all of a sudden Derek Carr became an MVP candidate. Now he slowed down in games 3 and 4, but I think the point still stands. Carr is another example of a quarterback whose career was on a downspin, only to switch teams and seemed totally revitalized. Last season saw him improve his play by reducing turnovers, and whilst this season has been a mixed bag, I am hopeful we see the best Carr season in years. If I had to guess, the switch up at offensive coordinator has played a massive part in elevating his start to the season. How important is coordinator-quarterback fit with these shocking quarterback successes, Henry?
Yeah, James, I think it plays a big part. The Shanahan-style offense has been clicking throughout the league with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota and Clint Kubiak in New Orleans as key examples. Both are making the game for their quarterbacks, Derek Carr and Sam Darnold, much easier as they're thriving in the pocket. Now, for a quarterback that hasn't found success, let's talk 2023 number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. After struggling to move the ball downfield in weeks 1 and 2, first-year head coach Dave Canales sat Young and promoted 36-year-old Andy Dalton. Dalton came in and immediately hung 36 on the Raiders in a win. James, what did you think of the move, and is there a future for Bryce Young as a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Right now, I think the first thing to say, it was a good move. They've won a game and have had 2 good weeks of offensive play because of it. How sustainable will the move be? That's a question we have to wait and see how it pans out. But I think the move brings up an obvious but important discussion about how valuable confidence and experience is to all these quarterbacks. All the quarterbacks today that we've talked about share these traits in common. They've played multiple NFL seasons. They've learned and played in several NFL offenses. I will say it right now, I think that if Young eventually has success, it will not be on the Panthers, and it won't be on his rookie contract. What do you think, Henry?
I agree that the success won't come in Carolina or anytime soon, and ultimately, I'd be surprised if it comes at all, James. There's a chance he ends up on a revitalized quarterback segment in 5 years, but with his size profile, I just don't see it happening. At 5'10" and 185 pounds or so, Young is smaller than any quarterback we have seen in the NFL. Now, I'm all for short kings, but Young can't see over the offensive line consistently, and it throws everything off. He stands on his tiptoes to throw a check down. His timing is off. He can't step up in the pocket and still see the field, and he doesn't have the elite level athleticism to scramble away from defensive linemen. His arm strength is subpar as well. While it's difficult to write off a former number 1 overall pick less than 18 months after he was drafted, there's a big gap between college and the NFL, and Bryce Young will be the next example of it.
All good points. Still, we have to wait and see. Until then, that's all we can do. Ryan, over to you to cover the MLB postseason.
Thanks, Henry and James. The MLB regular season has come to a close, and a championship is wide open to any of the teams that make the playoffs, while those on the outside of the playoff picture are looking in. I'm Ryan Owens, bringing you all you need to know about the 2024 MLB postseason. In the American League, the New York Yankees and Cleveland Guardians stand atop the field, each having clinched a bye into the divisional series. New York made a big splash this past offseason, acquiring Juan Soto from the Padres to put alongside Aaron Judge, while spending much of the season as AL favorites. Cleveland, on the other hand, won an AL Central that quickly became far more competitive than most expected and have launched themselves into the territory of potential contenders. The Houston Astros quickly turned their season around, which lined up perfectly with a collapse by the Seattle Mariners to secure their ticket as the AL West champs. Houston will look to make their 8th straight ALCS appearance, while the Baltimore Orioles, fresh off their first postseason following a difficult rebuild, attempt to make their first World Series in over 40 years. Meanwhile, the last 2 wildcard spots belong to 2 newcomers in the postseason picture. The Kansas City Royals haven't made the playoffs since their 2015 World Series victory, but thanks to young stars such as Bobby Witt Jr., they have managed to find their way into the postseason. Even more interesting may be the Detroit Tigers, who have waited since 2014 to return to the postseason. The team spent much of the season playing poorly, even preparing to sell their star players at the trade deadline. However, Detroit decided to hold their ground and have since been red hot, culminating in a chance to compete for a title. The National League has been led by the Los Angeles Dodgers and Philadelphia Phillies, who will take the top 2 seeds in the NL postseason bracket. Los Angeles may be the most interesting team to watch come the playoffs, as this season will mark Shohei Ohtani's playoff debut following the first 50 home run, 50 stolen base season in Major League Baseball history. He will join other stars such as Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Clayton Kershaw to win the first full-season World Series for the team since 1988. The Phillies have been a major threat in each of the past 2 postseasons and were on a historic pace to start 2024, before eventually cooling down to end the season. The NL Central has been taken this year once again by the Milwaukee Brewers, who have made the playoffs for the 7th time in 8 years. However, the team has only had 1 postseason series win to show for it and looks to finally make some noise in the wildcard round this season. Also looking to make an impact are the San Diego Padres, who are hoping to honor late owner Peter Seidler with their first World Series victory. After having to scratch and claw late into the season, the last 2 NL postseason slots have gone to the New York Mets and Atlanta Braves. The Mets have had nothing short of an odd year following the disaster of their 2023 campaign. The beginning of 2024 looked to be much of the same before Grimace threw out the first pitch and the season turned around in Queens, with the Mets getting hot and carrying that momentum to the postseason. Meanwhile, Atlanta has had to overcome a great number of injuries to key contributors, such as Austin Riley, Spencer Strider, and 2023 NL MVP Ronald Acuna Jr. In spite of these injury issues, Atlanta has managed to fight their way into the playoff picture, hoping that perhaps they can repeat the success of their 2021 World Series. Over the next month, these 12 teams will be fighting it out for a chance to claim the Commissioner's Trophy, the most prestigious item to hold in all of baseball. For 11 of these teams, that goal will not be reached. For one, Tuesday marks the beginning of the story that will immortalize their roster in the halls of baseball legend.
Thanks, Ryan. That's all we have for this episode of Offsides. If you are interested in joining our team, please email us at offsides@butv10.com.
Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram and X at Offsides10.
On behalf of our entire cast and crew, thanks for watching and have a great night.